Do you ever experience a moment of self-doubt? Like you make a decision, you go all in, you've done your due diligence. So it's not like you made a rash decision. It's not even like it was not a decision that you contemplated or prayed about or thought about for a while. And then you knew that was the right decision without a shadow of a doubt. You took it, the first action, and then bam, self-doubt creeps in. Well, friend, this is a normal part of life. And I wanted to share today, I wanted to share with you some a tool, some tricks, some tips, a framework that I use with my clients as well when they are experiencing self-doubt. Because it's not if you ever do, it's when is the next time. So listen in, let's do this. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. Doubt yourself. Just think about it. I'm sure it's hard to recall a time when you doubted yourself. And I joke because I know that there's so many times that I have self-doubt, that there's times that as soon as I make a decision to move forward to something, self-doubt starts to creep in. And I wanted to talk about that because when you are stepping into your God purpose, when you are stepping into, you've discovered your purpose, you know what you need to do, and then you start to do it, self-doubt is always going to creep in. Even if you see those people who make a decision and dive in, they've learned to combat the self-doubt. They've learned to quiet that inner voice, that inner critic, and they're choosing to decide to go forward. They're choosing to do it anyway. They're choosing to take action and look at evidence in the past. Even though you're doing something new, there's still evidence in the past that you can achieve what you're wanting to achieve. And I wanted to talk about that because self-doubt will stop you in your tracks. Now, at the time this is airing, I finished my 5-day challenge, Permission to Pivot, a roadmap for women who want to, I need to pick a shorter name. What is this? Let me see. What was it? Let's see. It is the Permission to Pivot, a professional mom roadmap to break free from self-imposed limitations and gain clarity to create what you really want. Basically, 5 days of looking at what's stopping you from stepping into who you were called to be. 5 days into looking at what we need. Why is my camera is moved? So anyway, I was looking at over there. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the self-doubt because the next thing that happens when you make a decision is these ideas and questions come into play of, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Do I have the resources? Do I have the time? All of these things come to play. And when it does, I have to sneeze. Okay, sorry about that. I had to sneeze all of a sudden, but these things come into play, and these things that stop us in our tracks, because all the unknowns, all the fear of the future, when this happens, we really have to hit it head on. We can't let it stop us in our tracks. We can't allow it to cause overwhelm or keep us stuck. It can't stop us or push us backwards. And so I want to talk about 5 ways to combat the self-doubt when you're stepping into your purpose and when you're creating this business that You may not exactly know what it's going to be yet, but you know that it's going to be important, that you know it's going to be impactful, and it's going to give you the freedom you're looking for. And so the first one I want to talk about is anchor yourself in faith. Recognize that it was God who put it in your heart in the first place. So when you anchor yourself in faith, verse Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. In the morning, I ask God, okay, let them see you in me. There's a song that I love. And I ask, okay, where are you in this, Lord? What direction do you want me to go? I heard from a sermon the other day, one of the questions that he said that we as Christians, we need to ask is, what is the last thing God asked us to do? And have we done it? That obedience is, we get second chances, but he still calls us to this, he gives us the same thing over and over. And that's one way I know that it's from him is when it's unshakable, when I can't remove this path that I may not know exactly what it's going through. But if you anchor yourself in your faith, understand who God created you to be and who he says he is, and look at, and faith is the things that we can't see. It's the things that it's the future. It's the understanding that God's got us. So do what you need to do to anchor yourself, not just meditate, not just have a quiet time, but I try, and I'm actually getting, for a long time, I was doing really good. And then I backed off a little bit. And now it's nope, go back I need to spend as much time in the word as I do learning other things. Because I know that my business is God led. He is the CEO of my business. And it's when I made that shift of I'm in charge to he's in charge, then things are a lot easier to do. They're not easier to do. That's the wrong word. I would say they are a lot easier to justify or to say, okay, I don't understand it. I'm going to do it anyway. So anchor yourself in your faith. The next is really get clear with your negative thoughts. So we've got to start paying attention to what we're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about. And this is one of the main things that I do with my clients is we look at, and not just reframe, but we rewire our negative thoughts. Having a growth mindset is so much more than just thinking something different. It actually irritates me. And there's so many mindset coaches, and they help you identify what your thought is. And they're like, don't choose a different way. Okay. How many times have you already done that and done that yourself? But we get to look at what the truth really is. And so it's not just reframing a negative thought, but when we are looking at what the negative thought is, we can look at what the belief is that we hold, and then we can ask if it's true or not. And so when we look at what becomes possible versus what is stopping us, we can look to see, okay, well, I haven't done this thing exactly like this before, but I've done hard things before and I've soared. We can start to look at the evidence that this thought is not true. The next one is one of my favorites, is we get to focus on our strengths. So I love Clifton Strengths Finder for this. I love the Enneagram. Those are the two tools that I use the most with the neuroscience and with the business strategy and everything. But the reason why I do is because we really see how if we lean into our strengths, these are the strengths that God's given us. It will not only help us take an easier path because we can lean into what we're good at and what comes in naturally to us. And you do have natural abilities, but also can boost our confidence to cover the things that we're not great at. It also will help us identify the strengths in others. And when we work together as a team, our strengths are not their strengths. My daughter, she is I was looking at some of the strengths that she holds, and I was hers and mine together, it's just amazing. It's some of her top strengths are my lowest. And I'm I see what God did there because we balance each other. Because how I do something is not how she does it. So if we had the same strengths, then it would be natural for me to try to shape her into how I do it versus stepping back and looking at how God intended her to do it. So if we understand our core strengths, our core motivations, our core desires, then we're able to lean into that and leverage them to propel us. Our weaknesses are our thorn in the flesh. This is the way that keeps us connected to God and say, okay, God, how are you going to fill this, or who are you going to bring in my life to do this? And when we focus on our strengths, and realize that it is natural. We don't need to take pride in them, but we can lean into them because they are not just for us. Our strengths are really to help everyone. Like that, it is to benefit the world. Like their strengths, their gifts, so we can give them. The next is set realistic goals and celebrate your process. So our progress, celebrate your progress. So we do need to set some big, audacious goals. I have read enough and I believe enough that, God put a big dream in my heart. And as I get closer to what I think is the outcome or the results, it just expands. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to keep going here. I don't know. Has that happened to you? Because I'm like, the closer you get to something, all of a sudden a larger vision appears. And so but what we can do is take that larger vision and we can break it down into right now. I really like breaking them down into 90-day goals. Doing about a quarter helps me. It's short enough that I can see the end, but far enough that I need to get my butt into gear and to work. And then at 90 days, we can shift, and in about 12 weeks, we can, create a new goal, and it keeps it fresh. It keeps it alive. But by breaking down this big mountain of a goal into boulders, into rocks, into pebbles, then it makes it so we can celebrate each milestone, because we know that to make a mountain, every pebble is necessary. Every rock, every boulder, every time we break something out, we take a step forward, we're taking one step up that mountain. And so we get to celebrate. We don't celebrate enough. Look at how far we've come instead of how far you have to go. If we just started and we are only a couple of steps in, that's okay. That's okay. You can celebrate that, because it's going to keep you moving towards the next one and the next one and the next one. Then all of a sudden you climbed 3 boulders and you're halfway up the mountain. If you would have just focused on how far you had to go, you would have been paralyzed. So also look at how far you've come. And then the next one, when you are trying to combat self-doubt, when you are stepping into your purpose, and friend, I've said this before, but what God has for you is so incredibly important. He created you, though he knew the world needed you. And so he brought you here. And so we've got to push past the self-doubt. We can't allow it to stop us, because if we do, then if we allow self-doubt to stop us, we're not even letting the world stop us. We're stopping in our tracks even before we get started. And God does not want that for us. He wants us to take action. He wants us to go for what he has put in our heart. Think about Moses, how, he was going to be the savior for these Israelites. And Moses was like, I don't have good speech. I can't speak. I can't talk. And he's like, okay, well, I'll give you someone. But he still needed him to act. He still did not say, okay, we'll find somebody else. No, he said, Moses, I need, this is for you. Go. And so the fifth way is seek a coach or a mentor. If I did not invest in a coach when I did, I would not be as far as I am. You find a coach, you find a mentor who has done what you want to do, who's doing it, who has had success. They've also had failures. They've also fallen. That's okay too. But we want to make sure that they've pushed past their self-doubt and that they're doing the things. You do not want a coach who is not taking action, who is not growing themselves. That's a cheerleader. That's something, it's just an encourager, which is important, but it's not going to help you get to where you need to go. And so find a coach who can help you see can help you see your goals and break them down, who can encourage you to celebrate your progress, who can help you understand and find your strengths, and help you to see the negative beliefs that you're holding and rewire them. And then also just like help you anchor yourself in faith and ask those hard questions of, are you doing what you need to do in order to get what you need to get, what you want to get? And so these 5 steps, these 5 things that you can do right now in order to combat this self-doubt when you're leaning in, when you're trying to, when you know enough about what your purpose is, that you're ready to just go for it. And I know that if I didn't take each of these steps, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be able to help and guide and inspire you and empower you to step into your calling, because I wouldn't be stepping into mine. I'm an Enneagram 1. Self-doubt is a natural thing. I have my inner critic who, if you've listened before, I have named her Miranda. I have a friend named Miranda, not her. Have you seen The Devil Wears Prada? And Miranda Priestley, who just nothing was good enough for her, but she was so chic. And so you wanted her approval for whatever reason. Well, that's my inner critic. I want her approval, or I needed it. Now I know that she's also going to be the one who stops me in my track, who brings in self-doubt. And so I can combat that. If I would have given into these things, I wouldn't be where I am. If I would have let them linger and not hired a coach to help me identify and move past them, I wouldn't be where I am. I'd still be 4 or 5 steps behind, trying to figure out why I'm not making progress. We do get to act. We get to work. It's not about, things don't manifest and you just sit on the couch holding out your hands and things happen. God wants to partner with you, but he's a God of action. He told Moses he had to lift up your staff and the waters parted. He didn't just say, stand there and it will go, like he could have, but he wanted him to act. And even when he acted the wrong way, which that whole said, lift up the staff and the water, will come out of the rock. And instead he hit the rock. So he did something different, he wasn't obedient in that. And God's like, hey, that's not what I asked you to do. But we've got to take action. God will redeem our steps. He will redeem the actions. He will forgive us because our hearts are in the right place. But if you allow self-doubt to stop you, if you allow it to paralyze you and feel like you are unworthy, or that you don't know what you're doing, or you don't see the results or what it's supposed to look like, that's God's portion anyway. You'll sit in this discomfort of longing, this knowing that you were meant for more, and you had more work, more impact, more fulfillment that God has created for you. And then you get to sit in it and just know it's there for you and that you didn't take it. I don't want that for you. I want you to take the strengths that God's given you, take your purpose, your calling, and I want you to step into it boldly and without doubt, knowing that God's got you. He would not have put it on your heart. He would not have compelled you to move forward if it wasn't what he wanted for you. And so anchor yourself in faith, reframe, rewire, understand, pay attention to your negative thoughts and the negative beliefs behind the thoughts. Focus on your strengths, embrace your weaknesses. They're not working against you. They're working for you. They keep you connected to God. There's weaknesses that I have that I know that if I did not intentionally ask God for strength in them, then they would also stop me. So it's a balance there. So focus on your strengths, but be aware and pray for your weaknesses and find others who strengths are your weaknesses. Set realistic goals. So take your big God-sized goal and break them down, not lower them, not remove some of the things that he wants for you, but break them down and then celebrate each process, and then hire a coach. I absolutely adore my coach. I've been working with her for a couple of years now, and I know that I wouldn't be where I am without her. And so if you are looking for a coach, let's chat. if you want somebody who's not just going to encourage you, but also call it like it is, help you see where your strengths are, what's possible, and then show you how to step into it, that's what I can do for you. I can help guide you on this path, and not in the way, like, one of the big things that makes me different is it's not really about my way of doing it. It's like, how did God align it for you? What is God telling you? And then what are our options? How can we make it work? What's the opportunity within it? And not only is there freedom, financial freedom, but there's time freedom and relationship freedom, and just the freedom to know, and the alignment to know that I am partnering with God. And that's what I want for you. So if that's what you're interested in, like, get on my calendar, let's talk. Like, that's it. It's all we're just going to talk about and see what's possible for you. It's if you're ready to start taking action. If you're not ready to take action, keep listening to the podcast, join the Facebook group, and see some amazing women who are taking action. But and help prepare yourself. Start to identify where self-doubt is creeping in, and what of these steps do you need to do to push past them? All right. With that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you. I cannot wait to see you, to speak to you soon. Join the Facebook group. Let's chat. I'm pouring some energy into that. It's one of the areas that I realized that I didn't really see the path, but God said, I wanted you to create it anyway. And so I'm leaning into it and letting God direct it the way it needs to go. So the Facebook group is Divine Destiny, Living a Purpose-Aligned Life. Divine Destiny, Living a Purpose-Aligned Life. It's in the show notes, and come and hang out with us there. I do trainings. Sometimes we'll get on and we'll just do a Zoom versus Facebook. That way we can actually interact and we can talk. But my mission is to help empower you to step into who God called you to be. Whether it's creating a business or just living this purpose-aligned life and impacting the world in that manner, because it's so important, because I know that when you shine your light, it gives permission for others to shine theirs. When I am willing to step out of my comfort zone and shine, I can light the path for others. And that's what you can do as well. And when we do it together, the world becomes brighter. All right. Well, if you have not left me a rate and review for this podcast, please consider doing that. It would mean a lot to me. I would appreciate it. It helps me see that you are enjoying the podcast, that what's resonating with you. It also helps others like you find the podcast. Women who want to live their purpose, who don't just want to figure out what it is, but they want to use it to create fulfillment and impact. And they want to live this purpose-aligned life and have this purpose-aligned business. And so if you know a woman like that, share this. If you are enjoying this podcast, please leave me a rating and review. I would really appreciate it. And with that, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.